We've heard stories of colossal sea monsters throughout history. Some were said to be so big they could swallow entire ships. Others had tentacles that reached miles into the sky. But most of these stories are considered myths and legends passed down from generation to generation. However, there are some sea monster stories that might actually be true. And one of the more compelling tales comes from a rather obscure and little-known area of the Indian Ocean. It is here where ships have been mysteriously disappearing for centuries. And those who survive encounters with this area speak of a massive glowing creature with a roar like the wind. It all begins with something called current. 47. This is an incredibly strong and fast-moving current located south of the equator between Madagascar and the Indonesian island of Java. As mentioned before, ships sailing through this area have gone missing for hundreds of years. But it wasn't until recently that we started learning about what actually happens here. Back in 1960, a Norwegian vessel named the MV Glenn was sailing through current 47 when it suddenly ran into a massive wave. The ship was caught in the current and quickly began to capsize. Luckily, another ship spotted them in distress and offered the crew life buoys. But when they arrived at the scene, they saw something unbelievable. The lifeboat crew witnessed a giant sea creature with a mouth full of sharp teeth and eyes that glowed red in the darkness. It reared its head up out of the water like a mythical sea monster and let out a deafening roar. The noise was so loud and so eerie that it sounded like the wind itself was screaming. Then, just as quickly as it appeared, the creature dove back down into the water, causing massive waves to crash on the surface. This sighting would have been considered a one-off, except that similar stories have been told by sailors over the years. In fact, many local fishermen in the area are too afraid to even set foot in current 47. They claim that it's haunted by the ghost of a giant sea monster that's angry at humans for trespassing in its territory. But perhaps the scariest part of this story is that there may be some truth to it. You see, ships aren't the only things that disappear in current 47. Planes go missing too. And sometimes the wreckage of these planes is found with their GPS completely scrambled. There are even satellite images that occasionally show massive wakes in the current, but they never show any ships or planes. These mysterious wakes almost look like the tracks left behind by a giant sea creature swimming through the water. So what exactly is going on in current 47? Well, one theory is that there's a massive underwater trench in the area. This trench could be home to a gigantic sea monster, like a prehistoric whale or a colossal squid. When ships and planes enter the current, they fall into the trench and are swallowed by the monster. Another theory is that there's a portal in the area that acts like a time vortex. Anything that enters current 47 is transported to another dimension or another time period. Perhaps the sea monster simply gets sucked up by the vortex and disappears. Then again, maybe the entire thing is just a myth. Maybe all the ships and planes are actually lost due to natural phenomena like rogue waves or unpredictable currents. And maybe the stories of a sea monster are just tall tales designed to scare sailors away from this dangerous part of the ocean. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. And remember to stay tuned for more videos about amazing discoveries and mysterious creatures from the deep sea.